Today's video is going to give you 10 tips on how to make paintings look more 3D. So all I'm doing when I'm working on this is looking for the shapes, looking for those darker areas as well. And when I'm adding these dots on, it's quite a small area, so I'll just demonstrate on a larger section for you. So say for example I'm working on a line like that, okay, a bit of a dotty looking line. What I'm doing, this one's got a bit of a bump on that, so it kind of goes in then back out again. What I'm actually doing, I'm actually tapping quite close to that line on the left hand side of it, like that. And then as I come away, I'm just easing off those dots, leaving more gaps in between like this. Okay, this is obviously a much bigger size now. This is going to be a big wing. Just ease off those dots like that. And then when you are about to run out of paint, so if I take most of the paint off this brush, that's when, as I say, you get those finest of marks. Those really fine marks. And this will give the impression, especially if we had a darker layer on over the top, of the way that this part of the wing here anyway curves over, kind of goes in then back up again. So it's a bit like that sort of shape really. Okay, got the idea with that? Yeah, I know you have. I know you have. By getting the lines in the right direction, you find it will help create the shape which we need for the shape of the head, because people's eyes follow these lines, which obviously creates shape, as well as the obviously darker and lighter areas. Think about the length of the lines, rough length of the lines, and not too long, and also overlap these lines in places as well. So where's my scrap paper? So if I'm working with these lines here, I'm not doing them all side by side. I'm going to overlap them slightly. So basically little elongated crosses like that. See the idea? But very tiny ones is what I'm looking at. Okay, so very tiny ones, and that's basically what I'm doing on the head at the moment. So I'm going to do this all the way down, fill the entire head in, doing the same method, looking at those directions the brush stroke's got to go, the rough directions to say, and overlapping as you go. I'm going to dampen down around this reflection underneath the seal's head. Just dampen it back a little bit, all the way along the reflection. Try and avoid these little gaps that we've got here. Look, and I'm using this big brush because it is big for me. So I'll try and tickle around them. If I avoid them, great. If I don't, well, I can always lift paint off. I do that many times. So dampen that area down all the way along. Once should be enough because we don't need to add too much paint in the colour. So this is going to be that raw sienna and the burnt umber mix. And I'm going to drop this in. Check if any runs to this damp paper, raw sienna, burnt umber, and the consistency is actually like a milky consistency out of interest. Now just make sure you know where you are on that photograph. So this is, try and see now, the edge of these curves here, you can just see it again in the photo, is more or less in line with the right hand side of the outer part of the nostril, which is there, which is about right. Well, that was lucky. So we're going to draw those in again. A bit more paint. These are slightly angled as well, they're not completely horizontal, so just slightly going off level, slightly uphill. And the same underneath as well. That's better. That's what I'm after. Okay. So for example, when you look around here, you can see that some of the lines go that way, okay, and then gradually curve around to there. So this is this area here. So what you're looking at, just very quickly, you've got the eye coming down like that, okay, something like that, and then you've got the lines below it kind of heading that way, and then suddenly start turning, don't they? And on this side, they suddenly start turning that way or above the eye. See what I mean? And then you've got all this kind of bit of a triangle area here as it all changes direction around that section. And that's all this area around here. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. that's around there. So where we've got this pencil line here, look, I'm just looking around this section there, and I'm thinking about that kind of triangle area as it changes direction. And this is essential to get that curve that we need for the head, you know. So all we're doing, as I say, is just building up the colours initially before we put the detail on. So I'm going to do the same around here now, just where the shadow area is. Just to get some colour in there before we go darker. So remember where this little elongated V goes for the shadow. That one, you know, for that one first. Such a choice of colours already, I know. Drop it in. Oh. That's bright, isn't it? Really bright. But we know it doesn't need to be that bright in this area. So what we'll do, let's go for that one next of all, the alizarin crimson and the indigo. There's still watery in there. And this will start to dullien that down. Still quite colourful though. And we'll need to go for a really dark mix on the top of that later as well. But what I want this to do, I don't want it to stay the same colour all the way through. So even though we need this to be really dark, nearly pitch black in the background, I want it to fade a little bit as it comes forward towards this line here. So a little more on that line. And let's go for the creamy version of the same colour now. Look how creamy that is. Very creamy. And whilst it's wet, just drop this in, just in this side here. Okay. Drop it in there, rinse that brush out, get some more of the very watery red colour, and then blend that out. Just adds that little bit extra contrast to begin with, and gives you something to work with. Now you can see it is really bright around there. So because it's bright, I'm making sure my white is nearly creamy. The thinner the white, the duller it will dry, which is really useful in certain places, especially around here as well. So that's as kind of bright white as need to go. So now I'm just going to thin that white down to more of a milky consistency, something like that there. And we'll add that in now. Put that over there out of the way a minute before I put my hand in it. Just by stippling and just leaving gaps in between around the hair lot. And you can see, look how much duller that is, because it's just, well, more of a milky consistency rather than creamy. Yeah, definitely a difference. And we can add a few more here and there to add some extra marks around the eye. And this is where we can go for a watery consistency. Ready for this? We'll try that first of all. Don't want to go too bright at this stage. Remember, we've got this highlight in the middle of the eye, and that's going to come across here. So we're going to draw a bit of a wiggly line on purpose, honest. And then start to scumble and stipple some extra marks within here as well. Leaving gaps. Like that. And that sort of branches that together, doesn't it, and helps it. Okay, and then again around here, bring it across. It's like a glaze on the eye. And that really is it. I know. Now you can see I'm gradually changing the mixture as I go along. So I'm going from weak, really watery stuff like that for those paler areas. Just another layer over the top of what I've already got on there, really, because as I said earlier on, every layer that you add will get darker and darker, even if it's the same consistency of paint like that, which is very watery. Every time you add another layer over the top, it will obviously get darker every single time. And they're going to switch to sort of a more creamy consistency, and then start to add in a little bit more around here. And you can see I've been working on this little section here. Then we've got this fluffy bit. How else would you describe it? It's a fluffy bit, of course it is. Just varying that mix as I'm going along. Overlapping some of these lines as well. Then we've got this other fluffy bit around there. A few little squiggly bits in between here and there as well, just to vary it. Now then, what we now need is really dark stuff. So let's go for the lamp black and burnt sienna. So if I say lamp black first, you know that's the most kind of dominant colour out of the two. So lamp black and burnt sienna. You want this paint to flow. It's not flowing enough at the moment. Kind of breaking up too easily. So it's going to add a little bit more water in there to allow it to flow. See, that's better. Basically what I'm doing, I'm blocking it in first of all. It's quite dark in there, isn't it? So you don't have to be too precise. And when you get to more of the area where you're going to be joining onto all this fluffy area around here, as I call it, all there, that's when you can just, turn my hand around a minute, flick out, like we did around the edge of the ears, flick out some of this wet paint into those areas, just to feather it. Even though it's hair, it's not feather pull. But you know what I mean. A few little sparkles here and there where you think the light might catch it. Imagine light, as I said, coming from this direction, roughly. So it's going to catch this side of the wood, not the underside. And the same applies to these kind of edges around here where the wood's a little bit rougher in places, quite wide as well. So I'm just scumbling with the brush, just adding a few little hints in there of white paint. Just light areas really. There's an area here which sticks out. So I'm going to add that one in. And all we need to do first of all is go over the pencil marks within those blue areas. So I would have started working on some of these. Just by very lightly, don't make it too thick. Going over all of those internal pencil marks, not the outside edge, okay? And that's because we don't want this looking cartoony at the end of the painting, because it will if you've got a bit of a line around the outside edge of it. I think I'll leave all these areas here because that's where the orange area is, isn't it? And for the orange, we'll just be working with the cadmium orange as well to kind of go over those little lines there as well. Now this side for this detail, we're going to carry on with the same colour. So this one here, let's move that around a little bit and get a clean well. I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. And within there, I'm going to add some indigo. Probably a little bit more pull. I'm using the wrong brush again to mix. Remember, don't do this. Don't follow me. Don't do what I do. So some indigo in that one there. I'm going to use that for this kind of bluer side that you can see. A little bit. That's it. That's got it. Because it is slightly bluer. It's a bit more in the shade down there. It's a little further away from the cam lens. Because it's a little bit further away, obviously the further away the item is, the slight more blue very often you find within the subject. And blue being a receding colour will set that area back. You find that when people paint landscapes as well very often, even though in reality when you look at the distance on a landscape, it's still green, isn't it? Still lots of green in there. And then somebody will come along and paint it blue. Well, not the actual physical thing, but you know, on the canvas. That's because blue, as I say, is a receding colour, it will look as if it's further away than as it would do if you painted it green. There you go. Bit of an interesting fact there for you. You probably knew that anyway. I know. One of the key points of making paintings look more 3D is to have the ability to paint a really fine line. Let's explore that next. You'll see a link to the top right. I'll see you there.